Om Vakratunda Mahakaya Surya Koti Samaprabha Nirvighram Kuru Me Deva Sarvakaryeshu Sarvada Saraswati Namastubhyam Varade Kamarupini Vidyarambham Karishyami Siddhir Bhavatu Me Sada Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha Guru Sakshat Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. We are reading the introduction to Bhagavad Gita from the Gita Home Study course book. The introduction began with the introduction to the four Purushartha, Chaturvida Purushartha, Dharma, Artha, Kama, and Moksha. About Dharma, Artha, and Kama, we have discussed. Now, the Moksha Purushartha is being explained by Swamiji. Moksha is freedom from being a seeker, freedom from the sense of insecurity, freedom from unhappiness. So seeking freedom from being insecure and unhappy. As we saw in the last class, last line. Therefore, even when we are seeking Artha and Kama, what we are seeking is freedom from insecurity and unhappiness. Therefore, what everyone wants is freedom. Therefore, it is the Purushartha that because of moksha, because of this Purushartha only, other Purusharthas get the validity. In and through all the Purusharthas, what a person seeks is only moksha. So moksha is the Purushartha, the only Purushartha, ultimate Purushartha or the only Purushartha. Artha as a Purushartha, Dharma as a Purushartha, Kama as a Purushartha doesn't have a particular end. It is an ever continuing pursuit. Whereas moksha is discovering oneself to be that. Discovering oneself to be that person, and that person is, his nature is freedom. So discovering oneself to be free. Discovering oneself to be free, discovering oneself to be a complete person, a fulfilled person, a non-wanting person, and that is what is the Purushartha moksha is. And that is the aim of every human being. Therefore, moksha is the ultimate Purushartha. In fact, that is a Purushartha. This knowledge, this understanding, born out of the understanding of the other Purusharthas, Dharma, Artha, and Kama. From those Purushartha, moksha should be understood very clearly and distinctly. And That viveka, that discriminative analysis and understanding is called purushartha viveka. So therefore, a person with the viveka will understand that moksha is what one seeks in life. That is freedom. Freedom is what one seeks in life. Therefore, moksha as the end in life is going to be presented. We will read. Given that everyone wants freedom from being a wanting person, that is called moksha. Therefore, everyone wants moksha, freedom from being a wanting person, that is called moksha. I don't want to be a wanting person. I want, that I want to stop. So therefore, freedom, that is what freedom is. When you want artha or the kama, as long as there is wanting, that is, that wanting is there, therefore, the pursuit is there, that doesn't give you freedom. That doesn't make you free. Gaining the purushartha, the very purushartha, the pursuit involves effort, a lot of effort. That pursuit involves effort, time, your energy, everything is taken up, and at the end, you don't find getting what you really want. What you really want is freedom. That you don't get even after having attained the purushartha, because you set up further another artha, another kama as a goal, and you start pursuing it. Therefore, it is a continuous one. Therefore, because you are a wanting person, the want also increases, and goal, your goal also keeps on changing. Therefore, you continue to be a wanting person. That a person doesn't want. Therefore, freedom from being a wanting person. That is called a moksha. Therefore, everyone wants that freedom from being a wanting person. That is moksha. So, moksha is the end. End means that is what is the goal or the destination, and that is called purushartha. When it is put in this way, it looks as though moksha is just another end. In fact, it is not another end, it is the end. The end behind all ends. It is the Purushartha. It is a Purushartha. In fact, because of this Purushartha, the other Purushartha, as I said before, it has got some validity, it has got some existence. In and through all the Purushartha, what a person seeks is only this freedom, the moksha. Therefore, it is the end. It is the end behind all the ends. We refer to moksha as another end, another Purushartha, only because people do not recognize it as the only end, even though they seek freedom from insecurity. So, therefore, moksha is not one more Purushartha. In fact, it is the Purushartha. Therefore, since everyone wants freedom, freedom from insecurity, freedom from unhappiness, therefore, freedom is what everyone wants. Therefore, moksha is the only Purushartha. The other Purushartha doesn't give you freedom. So therefore, moksha is not another Purushartha, it is the Purushartha, it is the end gaining which all the other Purusharthas are as though gained. Therefore, it is the end, or we can put it in another way. It ends the pursuit of artha and kama and dharma. It puts an end to the pursuit of artha and kama and dharma. Because when you discover yourself to be that person, a free person, a non-lacking person, a self-accepting person, then the other Purushartha doesn't serve any purpose to you. Even though you may be pursuing other Purushartha, but you pursue as a free person, not as a binding person as you were doing it before. That's the difference. Therefore, recognizing this end is a culmination of one's life, the end of samsara. The end of samsara, insecurities and unhappiness. The end of samsara. What is it? What is samsara? Wanting to become. That is samsara. Becoming. Becoming is samsara. You don't have to become. You are already what you want to be. So therefore, moksha puts an end to samsara. It makes you free from the sense of being insecure, from the sense of being unhappy. So therefore, it is a culmination of one's life. So it is after which every human being is really after this purushartha only. If a person knowingly does, then he becomes a mumukshu. Not knowing, if the person pursues other purushartha, he is a samsara. That's the difference. So other purushartha perpetuates samsara. The moksha purushartha puts an end to samsara. The culmination of one's life is not aging. It is the ability to discern yourself as one who is secure and happy. This discerning is part of growing up. Once the fact that you are secure and happy has been discerned, even though you may continue in your various artha and kama pursuits, you have taken the necessary step for moksha. However small the step has been made. Having stepped into this teaching, the necessary step has been taken. So the pursuit of the Gita study itself shows that the necessary step has been taken for moksha. So, though you are a moksharthi, the person wants moksha, it doesn't mean you will give up artha kama pursuits. Artha kama also can be pursued, can be continued, but your goal is moksha, the freedom. That goal is very clear. That is the discerning. That discerning, you have grown up to be that person, understanding this, moksha is what really makes you free. So for that, you have taken necessary step. Step is the sadhana. The sadhana in the sense of the study. Gita study or the Upanishad study, that is a sadhana. The sadhana has been taken up. So that is a step. So having stepped into this teaching, the teaching is the Upanishadic teaching. What Upanishad teaches, the same thing is taught by Bhagavan Krishna through the Gita. Therefore, having stepped into this teaching, the necessary step has been taken. Stepped into teaching means you have started pursuing Jnana Yoga. That is a sadhana. Jnana Yoga for what? For Jnana Prap. Jnanam for what? Jnanam for moksha. Jnanena eva mokshaha. Why Jnanam? Why not the other yoga? Problem being ajnana. Therefore, the solution is jnanam. Not knowing is a problem. Therefore, what could be the solution? Knowing can only be the solution. And that is what the teaching is. Knowing knowledge. So knowledge puts an end to the samsara. Ajnanam perpetuates samsara in the form of the pursuance of artha, kama, and dharma. Whereas knowledge puts an end to it. Knowledge is gained through the study, and that is a step which has been taken by the sadhakas. You should not be alarmed by the word moksha. You need not worry about what will happen to your family if you study and become enlightened. Believe me, your family will be happy because they will no longer have to deal with your insecurities and unhappiness. And also, by trying to gain enlightenment, the pressure you are feeling will definitely be less because now you have something better to accomplish in life. Otherwise, life is a problem. Marriage, for example, cannot be an end in itself. If it is, there will be problems and the marriage will end. Marriage is a means, not an end, whereby husband and wife each seek freedom from insecurity. Freedom from insecurity is their common end, and they help each other. Together as companions, they make the journey. This most significant aspect of marriage is acknowledged in the 7 steps of a Hindu marriage ceremony. Only when these 7 steps have been taken has a marriage taken place. Each of the 7 steps represents one aspect of the couple's journey for which there is a destination, moksha. So that ceremony involves 7 steps. And in that ceremony, both the person, husband and wife, before they become as husband and wife, they take certain oath, they make certain promises, and as companions, they continue the journey. They start the journey. The journey towards what? Journey towards the destination, moksha. So for moksha, parasparam, they help. Mutually they help and they grow. They grow towards moksha. It is not for fulfilling the immediate ends, for fulfilling the ultimate end, which is moksha. Therefore, only he says marriage is not an end by itself. What is the end? The end is moksha. So Grihastha leading the lifestyle of Grihastha is not the end. The end is the moksha. Grihastha ashrama is a stage. It's a stage in life, but that is not the end. The goal is moksha. Whether you are in Grihastha or any other ashrama, the goal is moksha. So that is what is beautifully depicted in the 7-step ceremony, marriage ceremony. Discerning moksha as the end in life. Why this is before that? Why it is said is moksha is not only for the sannyasis, moksha is also for the grihastha. It is for everyone. Therefore, only it is said that the couple, they start the journey having the destination in mind, and the destination is moksha. So therefore, moksha is for all the people in different stages of life. Discerning moksha as the end in life and seeking it make one's life meaningful. Then only marriage is meaningful. They do not prevent a person from seeking artha and kama. Because they don't prevent, therefore only artha kama pursuit is there in the Grihastha. The Grihastha, that is the husband goes after artha and kama. Husband or the other members, family members, they go after artha kama. It is allowed. The destination is moksha, but that doesn't prevent from seeking artha and kama. Without artha and kama, sustenance would be a problem. In fact, the Grihastha ashrama has to seek artha and kama because it is the ashrama which sustains the other ashrama. People living in the other ashrama, brahmacharya ashrama, vanaprastha or sannyasi. So therefore, because they live in Grihastha ashrama and the destination is moksha, it doesn't prevent them from seeking artha and kama. In fact, they have to pursue artha and kama with the goal moksha in mind. That is what being said here, and we can connect it to the previous paragraph also. So therefore, moksha pursuit doesn't prevent a person from seeking artha and kama. In fact, without them, life is just a rat race. One should always remember that the truth of the rat race is that even after the race, the winning rat continues to be a rat. The vision is now clear. Freedom is seeing myself as a secure and happy person. Freedom from being insecure and unhappy. The whole struggle in life stems only from insecurity and unhappiness. Important line. The struggle in life, for that the cause is this sense of insecurity and this sense of unhappiness. One thinks that by adding some security, one will become secure. In this way, life is one of becoming. Becoming is samsara. And in the process, one becomes hurt, aged, and as all kinds of things happen to him or her. If the fundamental problem is not discerned, one's life is wasted. What is a fundamental problem? Fundamental problem is the basic fundamental problem, as we saw before, is this insecurity and unhappiness. If it is not discerned, then one's life is wasted. You have to know the problem, then only solution can be there. Therefore, if it is not discerned, then the life is wasted. All that is achieved is that one life has been spent. The good thing about all this is that the Veda says you always have another chance, and another, and another. As we saw now in the Gita, sixth chapter, where the reincarnation is talked about at the end. Another chance, another chance. So next janma, the chance is there. So if you can't make it out this life, next janma, one more chance, next janma. But not sure what janma you will take the next birth, in which womb we will take, through which womb we will come out, we don't know. Which form we will take, we don't know. But there is chance, another chance. While this may provide some satisfaction, it is not a solution to the fundamental problem. Yes, this doesn't solve the fundamental problem. Now, if there is no becoming free, and I have to be free, then I must already be free. So, I am already free. It is Siddha Vishaya. I don't have to be free. Becoming free is a problem. Becoming is self is samsara. Life of becoming is samsara. So for moksha, there is nothing becoming. You don't have to become free. Already you are free. That free, I am free, that has to be discovered. That is moksha. It is Siddha Vishaya. It is Prapta Vishaya. Moreover, if I am already free and I seek freedom, then I am seeking something that already I am. I know that I want freedom, but I don't know that I am free. Therefore, not knowing I am already free is a problem. That's what we say, Ajnanam. Agam Sata Muktaha, that is not known. Ajnanam is a problem. If Ajnanam is a problem, what is the solution? Jnanam is a solution. What is the Ajnanam? That I am already free, that I don't know. So I want to be free. I want to be free. That is Ajnanam. But wanting to be, whether wanting to be a rich person or wanting to be a lovable person or wanting anything, that is samsara only. Even wanting to be free also is samsara. You are already free. You don't want, cannot be free. You are already free. It is Siddha Vishaya. It is Prapta Vishaya. Not knowing that is a problem. That is Ajnanam, ignorance. If there is ignorance of oneself, in order to know oneself, there should be a means of knowledge. Ignorance is there. Therefore, for the removal of the ignorance, knowledge must be there. And it is a fact that what can be known by one means of knowledge cannot be known by another means of knowledge. Here, Swamiji talks about the Pramanam, bringing to the topic of Pramanam. What can be known by one means of knowledge cannot be known by another means. For example, Swamiji himself says here, what can be known by the eyes in terms of color and form cannot be known by the ears in terms of sound. Similarly, what can be inferred can only be inferred at a given time and place. Anadigata, abadita, artavata, jnana janakam, pramanam. So, pramanam, the means of knowledge. What can be known through a particular pramanam cannot be known through the other pramanam. If two pramanams are, if through two pramanams a thing can be known, then there is a defective in saying that it's a pramana. What is proved by one pramanam cannot be proved or disproved by the other pramanam. What eyes can perceive? Eyes, chakshur indriya, it can perceive color, that is varna, and form rupa. For rupa jnanam and varna jnanam, one has to use. There's no other means. One has to use eyes only. Ears doesn't have scope for varna jnanam or rupa jnanam. Ears have got scope only in shabda jnana. Eyes do not have scope in gaining shabda jnana. That is what pramanam is. So, the basic means of knowledge available to me for knowing things other than myself is perception. That is pratyaksha. Other than me, that is object. Anything other than me is available for my perception as an object that can be known through pratyaksha, the pramana. Eyes, all the pancha jnana indriya, the other pramanas, perception. But the self, myself, cannot be an object of perception like sound, shabda, touch, sparsha, a form or color, rupa, a taste, rasa, or a smell. All these are available as sense objects for sense organs. So they are the object of perception, and that can be known, and they are outside of myself, therefore they are available for my perception. But what about the perceiver? How can the perceiver be known through perception? So what perception can do is to perceive things other than me. It cannot help to perceive the perceiver. Only those objects which have the attributes of sound, form, or color, smell, taste, and touch can be known as objects of my senses. Whereas a self is the one, the pramata, is the one who uses this means of knowledge and perception. Therefore, I cannot employ perception as a means of knowledge to know myself. Pramata can know the prameya vishaya which are outside. Pramata cannot know himself. The knower cannot know himself. The knower can know only that which are other than the knower. They are the objects available for the sense organs, available for the pratyaksha, the pramana. Therefore, one's perception can be enhanced by microscopes, telescopes, and various other instruments, thereby gathering better data and increasing one's capacity to make more accurate inferences based on perception. These better data definitely question one's previous understanding. For instance, because you see sun rising in the eastern sky and setting in the west, you conclude from your perceptual data that the sun rises and sets, and the earth is stationary. However, seeing the sun move doesn't mean that it moves. The sun can appear to be moving, but if you go to the North Pole, you will see that the sun doesn't move from east to west. You now have better data because of which you revise your earlier conclusion. This new conclusion then becomes a basis for additional data and inferences. Similarly, if you put a stick in a glass of water, the stick looks bent. You may think that the water has a capacity to bend the stick, but when you pull it out, you see that it is not bent. Your conclusion or knowledge now is that it doesn't bend, that it only appears to be bent while in the glass of water. Perception is negated by conclusive knowledge. That the stick appears to be bent when it is not is now understood as an optical illusion. Conclusions based on better data are all valid, and all conclusions are arrived at through a means of knowledge, pramana, inference in this case. The question now becomes, can the self, myself, who uses inference and perception, become an object for either of these means of knowledge? It cannot. And yet, at the same time, I must know myself. So, inference means anumana. Anumanam also, pratyakshadi, that is shabda, spasha, rupa, rasa, gandha, this or the pancha jnanendriya by which we gain the shabda, sparsha, rupa, rasa, gandha, jnana, that is gandha, the sense objects, but by which we gain the knowledge of the attributes of an object. Really, an object cannot be known. We can only know the attributes of the object, in the form of sound, in the form of touch, the taste, etc. So, these five indriyas, which are the basic means of knowledge, Mula Pramanam, we say in Sanskritam, Mula Pramanam. So that is a Pramanam, basic Pramanam. On that Pramanam only, Anumanam, inference, other Pramanam, Arthapati, etc., all depend. So they are called Mula Pramana. So taking the Mula Pramanam, that's why I gave the example. What is perceived through the eye, that is negated by inference. Therefore, inference becomes a Pramanam. Inference becomes the Pramanam. Like you see this, the smoke on the mountain. You see only the smoke, but you conclude that the mountain must be on fire. How do you conclude? You see the Pratyaksha is fire, there is smoke, not fire. But you conclude the mountain is on fire. That is inference, Anumanam. Because you have seen the you have seen the fire. You have seen the fire when there is smoke. Where there is smoke, yatra yatra vannihi tatra tatra dhumaha. That you know, that Vyapti Jnanam you have. How? Because you have seen in the kitchen. You have seen that in the Pakashala, where there is Agni and therefore there is smoke. So therefore you conclude, wherever Agni is there, that smoke is. Yatra yatra vannihi tatra tatra dhumaha. That Vyapti Jnanam, that invariable concomitance, that knowledge that you apply when you see smoke on the top of the mountain. Because the mountain has smoke, therefore you conclude it must be on fire. This is also a pramanam. This name of the pramanam is Anumana Pramanam, inference. So like that we have Arthapatti, Anupalabdi, Upamana, iti pramanams are there. Can you use these pramanam, one or more pramanam of this, to know yourself? You cannot. Because to use this pramanam, you should become an object of this means of knowledge. You, the subject, has to become an object for knowing by using this pramanam. That is not possible. So therefore, what is a pramanam available to know myself? I have to know myself. Therefore, the next topic is, what means of knowledge is there for knowing myself? I do know that I exist. And to know this, I don't require a means of knowledge, as we shall see more clearly later. I exist. Do you need a pramanam for that? You exist. For your existence, to know your existence, do you need a separate means of knowledge? You exist. That is there. That is knowledge. So you don't require a means of knowledge to prove your existence. So all I need to know is what I am. So you exist. For that, no pramanam is required. But what I am, what am I? For that we need. Am I, as I conclude, am I insecure? What are the reasons for concluding that I am insecure? We will also see all of this in more detail later. But for now, it is enough to know that ignorance is the main reason that I see myself as insecure. So I exist. That doesn't require any means of knowledge. But what I think to be myself, that how are you going to establish that? How are you going to prove that? By what means of knowledge? You have concluded that I am insecure. You have concluded that I am not happy. I'm an unhappy person. I'm a wanting person. Is a conclusion? Is a conclusion correct conclusion? What are the reasons for concluding that I am insecure? That is, here he says that ajnanam. Ajnanam is the reason. Ajnanam is the karanam for the conclusion that I am insecure, that I am unhappy. The insecurity and unhappiness, these are superimposed on me, which are superimposed on the swarupam of me. That is because of ajnanam. Therefore, it is enough to know that ignorance is a main reason that I see myself as insecure. We are going to discuss that in detail. That's what he says here. So, ignorance is a main reason for any error. Mistake. For the mistake, what is the cause? Ajnanam is the karanam. But here the error is typical. And wherever an error is typical, there are other incidental reasons that make it so. Suppose you mistake a rope for some other object. What kind of mistake do you make? You don't take rope to be an elephant. Such a mistake is not possible. But you could take the rope to be a snake or any other number of similar looking objects. You cannot ever mistake it for something totally dissimilar. Similarly, there is self-ignorance leading to certain typical conclusions on the part of every being that I'm insecure, unhappy, and so on. And so on means I'm insignificant, I'm a wanting person, I'm a lacking person, etc. There are thus incidental causes for such conclusions as well as the prime cause. Prime cause means mukhya karanam, ignorance, ajnanam, which are dealing with here. Knowledge alone can dispel ignorance, and knowledge cannot take place without a means of knowledge. Even knowledge that is picked up accidentally, like the knowledge of penicillin, for example. So, how can this ajnanam go away? Ajnanam can go away only by knowledge, and knowledge is not possible without a means of knowledge. So, therefore, knowledge is important. Knowledge is what dispel ajnanam. And for knowledge, pramanam is indispensable. Knowledge picked up accidentally doesn't preclude a means of knowledge. In fact, there was a great deal of knowledge leading to the accidental discovery of penicillin, the greatest discovery of the century, I would say, since it has revolutionized the quality of human life. Infections that were once fatal succumb to this wonder drug, and certain innovative surgeries such as heart transplants can now be performed thanks to Alexander Fleming, who stumbled upon this particular knowledge. Stumbling upon serendipity is also a means of knowledge. If the scientist who discovered penicillin had not been qualified, he would not have had the knowledge to question why the strain of bacterium he was culturing had been destroyed by a particular fungus. When he found the bacteria dead, he would have just said, they died. Better luck next time. Instead, he had the capacity to look into the whole situation, and using the proper means of knowledge, experiments, and so on, he concluded that this particular fungus destroys bacteria. Knowledge itself is never stumbled upon. All that is stumbled upon is a particular situation leading to the knowledge. For knowledge to take place, you have to recognize this situation, and this recognition is what is meant by knowledge. But the self can never be stumbled upon, even if you remove all your thoughts, as some people maintain. Which self will you stumble upon? Who is it that is stumbling? And what is it that is being stumbled upon? If you are ignorant of yourself and remove all the thoughts you previously had, what will you be? You will still be ignorant, without thoughts. Then, if you conclude that you are enlightened because you have removed all thoughts, the conclusion will be a thoughtless conclusion. So, the point here is no knowledge is stumbled upon. Any accidental discovery also is based on the previous inner disposition of the person. He has got knowledge and he discovers whatever knowledge he had, that becomes the basis for the discovery of something new. So, therefore, the knowledge is never stumbled upon. And when it comes to Atma Jnana, it is all the more it is not stumbled upon. How can you stumble upon this Jnana, Atma Jnana? So, that's what he says here. Self can never be stumbled upon, even if you remove all your thoughts, as some people maintain. There are some people who say the removal of all the thoughts. Once you remove all the thoughts, because thoughts are the problem, so remove all the thoughts, then you see yourself. Which self will you stumble upon after removing all the thoughts? Who is that stumbling and what is that being stumbled upon? So, after removing all the thoughts, if you can see yourself, then again, there you are trying to objectify yourself. So, therefore, as the thoughts are objectified, and after removing all the thoughts, then who is there? What is there to be objectified? The subject can never become an object. That the knower never become a known. So, because the knower is not one more thought, the knower is a basis for all the thoughts. Therefore, not knowing the knower, in spite of removing all the thoughts, the knower continues to be as he was before, continues to be ignorant only. The knowledge of the knower only, the knowledge of the nature of the knower, the reality of the knower, can only remove ajnana, not the removal of the thoughts, not the removal of, not emptying the mind, not the removal of thoughts. Even if you are without thoughts, you continue to be ignorant person only. That's what he says. You will still continue to be ignorant without thoughts. Then, if you conclude that you're enlightened because you have removed all thoughts, then the conclusion will be a thoughtless conclusion. Yeah, it is meaningless conclusion. Therefore, for Atma Jnanam, the thoughts need not be eliminated. Thoughts mean the vritti. The thoughts, the vritti, what happens in the mind, it is jadam. That jadam is illumined because of you, the knower, because of the self. So, to know the self, why should you remove the vrittis? With the vrittis or without the vrittis, you continue to be there. So, if you conclude that only after the removal of vritti, you will see yourself, that is not going to happen. It is a thoughtless conclusion, meaningless conclusion, he says. Therefore, the thoughts need not be eliminated. The thoughts are not the obstacle for enlightenment. For the thoughts are the proof, in fact, that you are there. Atma is there. You, the self, is there. Thoughts are jada, inert. The mind is inert. It is it is lightened. It shines because of you, because of self. Therefore, removal of that will not make you an enlightened. Therefore, there is no need for thought elimination. There is no need for manonasha. Thoughts elimination is manonasha. Thoughts are nothing but, the mind is nothing but the thoughts, the flow of thoughts. Therefore, no need for the mind to be destructed. The mind is an instrument. So one need not destroy the mind to know to know oneself. So that's what he says here. So there are some people who have this wrong notion or idea that manonasha, destruction of thoughts, destruction of mind, removal of thoughts will make enlightened. That wrong conclusion, that wrong ideas are there. Therefore, the thoughts are illumined. The thoughts are known to you because of you. You being there, the thoughts are known to you. Without you, there cannot be thoughts. Therefore, thoughts need not be eliminated. That is the next topic we will read. After that, we will stop. This you must know. The enlightened mind is not brought about by the elimination of thoughts. Elimination of thoughts, destruction of thought, that is destruction of mind, manonasha. So, knowledge always comes because of an appropriate means of knowledge. Important. You have to use appropriate means of knowledge to gain knowledge. The pramanam has to be appropriate. For knowing a color, you have to use the appropriate pramanam, chakshurindriya. So, The validity or the truth of knowledge depends on the appropriate means of knowledge, application of the appropriate means of knowledge. There is no way of altering knowledge, and there is no replacement for a means of knowledge. Important. You cannot replace a means of knowledge by another means of knowledge. That's what the very definition of pramanam is, anadigata abhadita. What a pramanam proves cannot be proved or disproved by other pramanam. Therefore, what can be known by a given means of knowledge can be known only by that means of knowledge. There is no accommodation here. There is no accommodation. We cannot relax the means of knowledge, the rules regarding the means of knowledge. For a means of knowledge to be valid, it has to be anadigata, abhadita, arthavat, jnanajanaka. If you have to see a color, what accommodation can be there? Only the eyes will see color. Your nose certainly will not. There is no other means of knowledge for knowing color except the eyes. Can you accommodate nose? Being compassionate, can you accommodate nose or other indriyas to know the color? No. No other means of knowledge can do the job of the eyes for the perception of color. Therefore, application of the appropriate means of knowledge gives the correct knowledge, right knowledge. Because I cannot stumble upon myself, will I not remain ignorant in spite of anything I might do? And if so, might one not also ask, is it not enough just to be a devotee? Why should I study all these books? Why should I have this knowledge? As a devotee, will I not gain moksha when I die? You may think that because of your devotion, you will go to heaven and sit with God. However, you will still be ignorant. In addition, how long will it be before you become bored there and want to come back? On the other hand, the reward for all your prayers offered either in this life or in previous life is stumbling upon the means of knowledge for knowing the Atma or even understanding what a means of knowledge is. This is all stated in the Vedas. What is the means of knowledge to know the self then? We have seen that it has to be other than perception and inference, and therefore it can only be the external means, words, shabda pramana. So, to know oneself, the pramanam should be available outside, that is in the form of words, that is the Vedas. For facts that I cannot know by perception and inference, words, shabda can be a means of knowledge, and those words are called Veda. They are with us, meaning they are with humanity. We refer to them as revealed, look upon them as a means of knowledge for truths that can neither inferred nor perceived. This acceptance of the Veda as a pramana is what is meant by Shraddha. Accepting Veda as the pramana is what is called Shraddha. Guru Shastra Vakyeshu Vishvasaha Shraddha. For those who have Shraddha in the Veda, they are called Astikas. Those who accept Veda as a pramana, as authority, as one authority for knowing knowledge, they are called Astika. Nastikas are those who do not accept Veda as a pramana. So, what is not revealed by the other means of knowledge is revealed by the Shabda Pramana, Veda Pramana. Therefore, what the Vedas reveal, that science cannot prove or disprove. What science reveal that cannot be proved or disproved by Vedas, because they are separate means of knowledge. Science based on Pratyakshadi Pramanam, based on sense perception, based on inference, based on Arthapati, etc. Whereas Veda is a separate means of knowledge. Therefore, what the Vedas reveal, other means of knowledge cannot reveal. That is why Veda is a pramanam. That's what he says. So that can neither be inferred nor perceived. So we look upon Veda as a means of knowledge for truths that can neither be inferred nor perceived. So this has to be understood. This understanding is what is called Shraddha. So we started with Purushartha, Then we discussed the means of knowledge, pramana. So when we talk about the pramana, we have to bring in the Veda, because Veda is a means of knowledge. We started with Purushartha, then come to Moksha. Then Moksha is knowing myself. It involves knowledge. For knowledge, we need the means of knowledge. What are the available means of knowledge? And for knowing myself, can the available means of knowledge will be useful? No, it cannot be useful. Therefore, only the Veda as a means of knowledge walks in, and that is what is going to be discussed in the next topic. That we will see in the next class. ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ॐ शान्तिः 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 हरिः ॐ श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः हरिः ॐ